Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Trilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Sean Yao.
The big stories tonight, the DENR scraps its contract with Masungi Georeserve's developer over supposed legal violations, giving it 15 days to vacate the ecotourism site in Rizal.
The designer of a bridge that partially collapsed in Isabela is speaking up. Engineer Albert Cañete tells us why he's refusing to take the blame for the accident when he joins us later on in the program.
And after Mary Grace Piatos, more curious names turn up in the recipients list of Vice President Sara Duterte's confidential funds.
The Environment Department has canceled one of its contracts with Blue Star Construction Corporation, the developer of Masungi Georeserve in Rizal.
Blue Star has 2 weeks to vacate the area specified in the deal that covers the famed Discovery Trail. The DENR is accusing the developer of several violations, which include illegal collection of fees and restriction of government access to the area.
The DENR also says that the contract signed way back in 2002 was illegal from the get-go, since it did not go through proper procedures. Mon Gualvez with tonight's big story.
Department of Environment and Natural Resources has given the developers of Masungi Georeserve in Tanay Rizal 15 days to vacate the area. That's after it canceled an agreement with the contractor of the conservation area, Blue Star Construction Development Corporation. According to the DENR, Blue Star committed violations under a supplemental agreement signed in 2002. Among them, the imposition of fees not provided for in the Masungi Rock Ecotourism Plan, fencing the area and providing very restrictive access to authorized DENR representatives, and the non-completion of 5,000 housing units, which has also been stipulated under their 1997 joint venture agreement. Said housing units were supposed to benefit employees of various government agencies, including the DENR, DILG, and DepEd. There are also beneficiaries from the Departments of National Defense and Transportation, Office of the President, and the Presidential Management Staff.
Up to now, wala pa po silang nagagawang housing unit doon sa 300-hectare area covered by the 2002 violations. Ang ginawa po nila is gumawa ng mga trails, gumawa ng mga web doon sa Masungi Karst area.
The 2002 contract covers Lot 10 of the Georeserve, which is essentially the Discovery Trail. This pathway takes tourists through the famed Sapot ni Rick, picturesque karst formations, and rope bridges. In its investigation that started as early as 2014, the DENR says it also found out that the contract with Blue Star did not undergo proper vetting and bidding procedures.
No one is above the law. So kailangan po sundin natin ang batas, iayos natin, and then yung tamang proseso po ang dapat na masunod. No one has a monopoly pagdating sa protection and conservation of the environment. In fact, yun po yung mandate ng DENR, to protect the environment, conserve, preserve the natural resources of the country.
DENR is still building a legal case against Blue Star, but its priority at the moment is to peacefully take over Masungi. If they have to, they will ask help from the PNP. For now, the area in question will be managed by the Protected Area Management Board of the DENR. In a statement, Masungi Georeserve Foundation insists it is the DENR who is at fault here for refusing to carry out its contractual obligation to clear the area, resulting in delays. The foundation also insisted that the supplemental joint venture agreement signed under the Arroyo administration and which contributed an additional 300 hectares to the more than 2,000-hectare project is based on the provisions of law which allows a government project to be expanded or extended without additional bidding under certain conditions. The Masungi Georeserve Foundation Inc. also sees the DENR move as an attack, not just on organization, but on every Filipino striving to protect our natural heritage in the face of worsening floods, landslides, and droughts that threaten our communities. For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
Now let's flesh out this issue some more with the DENR's Legal Affairs and Enforcement Department. We have with us live in the studio Asek Norlito Eneran, whom you just saw earlier on TV. Oh. But sir, let's begin perhaps with your response to Masungi, particularly on that there was a contractual failure on the part of DNR to clear the area.
We're talking here about two housing contracts.
Okay.
The first housing contract was the 1997 joint venture agreement covering an area of 130 hectares. And after several years, they added another site. This time, the adjacent 300 hectares covered by the 2002 supplemental agreement.
Okay.
So they're saying that the DNR failed to provide or put them in a peaceful occupation because there were several claimants. But records would show that they control these areas up to now. Okay. They allow several tourists to come inside with a fee na hindi nangingialam ang DNR doon. That's why our attention was called by the Commission on Audit saying that nasan yung accomplishment report ninyo for the housing units?
When was this? Yung COA report na yun
That
na
was in-
nagising kayo?
That was in 2014. Yeah,
Ang tagal na rin.
2014, yes. Because under the contract, they were given 5 years to implement the housing project. But despite the several extensions of that period, okay, they never built any house.
These are supposed to be for government employees.
Correct. Yes.
Pero may
5,000.
housing na nakikita, di ba? Have you been able to inspect?
Yes, but mga 3 to 5 model houses lang po yun. Hindi yung madaming housing units.
Okay.
And are they able to sell these lots and cottages supposedly to the public?
Well, there are reports that they have this coordination with Pag-ibig at maraming mga kababayan natin yung nakakabili ng mga areas dito. But as to the records, we're still gathering as of this time these
Okay.
transactions. Yeah.
As a quick step back, no? We're talking about, of course, Masungi and Blue Star in combination and different entities. They have 4 total contracts. We're talking about one, right? The 1997 with the supplemental 2002. This should cover 10,000 houses, di ba? 5,000
Correct.
muna, then another 5,000. Now,
Correct.
late last year, may lumabas na issue because the operators of Masungi, they said na yung Bucor kasi magpapa-check daw nung, kumbaga, ocular to see what they can do. They're thinking of building something there. And then there was a big outcry and it was all over the news. So does the Bucor not own that property? Because parang it's a bit confusing.
Yeah. Well, to start with, before you can have a title over a government property, there should be a presidential proclamation. Unlike the first contract, yung 1997 joint venture agreement, meron siyang proclamation that it was reserved for housing purposes or housing project. Okay? But the 2002 supplemental agreement, yun po yung walang proclamation, walang consent of the president for it to be a housing
So yung
project.
unang 130 hectares, they keep that?
Yes.
They
yes.
still
Walang
have-
issue yun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, are you saying they should be happy with this and let go of the 300? Parang ganito yung...
Well, may mga
Compromise.
may mga observations pa rin tayo dun sa 1997 joint venture agreement, especially with their obligation to construct 5,000 housing units. Kasi up to this time wala pa po silang nako-construct.
Ni isa?
May mga model houses lang, mga 3 or
Since,
Yes.
since
1997.
Oh,
Since
ang tagal na.
Yes. So,
I
nung
mean,
na-extend to, no?
Yes.
Of course, it also begs the question, sino pumayag na ma-extend yun since hindi nga sila nakapag-deliver, which you
Oo
guys
nga.
were pointing out. And obviously, you're trying to clean up the messes from how many years ago.
Correct.
We understand that. Pero dun sa second part, nakita ko rin from your own documents na in 2006, you already, parang they were allowed, no? The developers were allowed to sell to not government employees, meaning to anybody who
that
wants...
is very strange.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to, why not construct for government employees
Yeah.
first? Why
Yeah.
are you selling to the public?
That's
What
why...
And if they have no title, do they even have the right?
Correct,
Yes.
correct.
To sell.
Yeah.
Because that's government property.
Yeah.
And parang sabi ni General Katapang, yung original certificate title, nasa kanila. Wala daw
Correct.
TCT. Transfer.
Yeah. In fact, yun ang mga observations namin in our investigations. So, yun ang nakita namin na wala talaga siyang basis And in fact, yung extension, several extensions, were already in violation of the 1997 Joint Venture Agreement. Kasi ang nakalagay doon, yung area na ito ay for housing purposes. Ang beneficiaries ay government employees.
Which actually runs contradictory to what they are proclaiming as what they are doing as planting endemic trees, preserving the flora and fauna there, when the original plan was to build houses.
Correct.
Also, but well, that means they're environment advocates. So how do you counter that?
That's why our approach is to untangle these complexities. Kasi there are several contracts that we have to check, to evaluate, to examine. And the first contract that we found that is really defective, both dun sa obligations nila as well as the legal requirements, itong 2002 supplemental agreement. Kasi wala siyang basihan. That's why we're saying that we cancel this and require them to vacate the area.
Can we ask you, Asek, what is on the 300 hectare area, no? Yung additional na in-award sa kanila in 2002. What is on there right now?
Okay, yung 300 hectares, ito yung area kung saan yung Geopark Reserve is.
Okay.
Nandun yung mga Masungi Karst, nandun yung web. So ito yung pasyalan ng ating mga kababayan.
Pero
Gusto nyo naman yon. Maganda naman.
Well, nakita natin that wala naman tayong sinasabing hindi maganda yung conservation doon. But what we want is to untangle the contracts na nag-overlap with each other.
by untangling, does this mean the DENR is willing to renegotiate a more, kumbaga, mas malinaw and mas cohesive na type of agreement or contract with the developers? Or is this really the end of the road for any negotiation?
Well, what we want here is to comply with the law. Kung ano yung sinasabi po ng batas, yun po ang gagawin ng DENR. Unang-una, bound po tayo kung ito ay protected area. Ang batas po natin is yung National Integrated Protected Area System, kung saan ang dapat mga siwa rito ay isang board, yung Protected Area Management Board, na ang nag-head po dyan is DENR, kasama po dyan yung ating LGUs, yung mga non-government organizations, and yung other stakeholders.
Are they not doing a good job of protecting the environment there? May mga rangers na nabaril.
Supposedly, ng mga illegal quarriers, etc.
Well, established na rito yung ating PAMBI. We have to remember that yung area na ito straddles 3 protected areas. Yung Upper Marikina River Basin Protected Landscape, and then dun sa may taas yung kaliwa Forest Reserve, and then yung Presidential Proclamation 1636. So tatlong protected areas ang nakakasakop dito sa area ng 300 hectares.
3 protected areas within the 300 hectares. And can we clarify lang, no, yung kiniklaim ng Bucor na nasa kanila yung original certificate title, yun din ba yung 300? Same 300 hectares, or is this a different 300 hectares?
It's the same area. So yung
How did
300,
Bucor get that?
there was a presidential proclamation for that. So,
So nasa kanila yung...
So are you, do you recognize Bucor as the owner, or as the, I don't know, the holder of the rights to the land?
well, we have to recognize because it's provided at the instruction of the Office of the President.
Does Bucor have any agreements with Masungi or Blue Star?
As of this time, wala po kaming alam na agreement. So,
Ang gulo pareho kayong government agency.
Nagkagulo sila.
Yeah.
Nagkagulo
Papawi.
sila last year because of that. Kasi nga papatignan ng Bucor, ng BJMP. Tapos medyo nagkaroon ng furor, no, from the side of the foundation saying, hala, pupunta dito. You know, they raised the alarm na titignan nila to. And then DOJ Secretary Remulla was very firm na, you know, yung title ay nasa Bucor.
Bucor. Yeah.
Well, if I may ask, Asik, no, well, you've given Blue Star 15 days to vacate the area. What happens if they don't? And, well, based on their statement, they said they haven't received the notice.
Yeah, we will proceed from there until na makuha nila, ma-receive yung ating notice.
Pero nabigay na ba?
Yes, as of this time, two means of serving the notice. We have it registered mail and through personal service. The personal service, wala pa po kaming confirmation whether it was personally received by them.
So when does the 15 days start? The
Upon
period?
receipt of that notice.
And how will, can they just be, this might be simple mind, can they just be like, I'm not gonna reply? You know? And then
What
or
happens?
say that I
wala na
received
yung
the
What happens
receipt.
if they ignore?
Yeah. A lot of people do that.
Yeah, well, the order says, or the letter says that if you receive this within 15 days and you did not reply, then we will take appropriate action.
So, police action na yan.
We will do
Sheriff.
that if it's necessary.
So who will run that Masungi Georeserve Park where people, the public go?
Well, we have to coordinate with the Department of Justice, considering that the title is already under the name of that office, as well as the other one, our regional office, DENR Calabar Zone.
Did you consult other government agencies on this move? I mean, are you working with the Solicitor General, DOJ, and all the other agencies that may be involved here?
Yeah, we have meetings with the Office of the Solicitor General in
Okay.
preparation for the cases to be filed, and we have also coordinated with the LGUs and other stakeholders in the area.
But they have become like the poster for environmental protection. The symbol. Are
They
you
have
saying
won a lot
it's
of
false? Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot
awards,
of awards.
not just here, but
Oo.
internationally.
Are you saying it's fake?
Well, we acknowledge that there is no monopoly in protecting the environment. Lahat naman tayo capable of protecting the environment. What we're saying is that we will just comply with the law. As of now, defective po yung contract na pinangahawakan nila. And we have to fix that.
Pero yung 130, okay kayo doon na the original agreement
Or-
is still above board.
Or is that
The
also under review?
Yeah, it's under review.
So all 4 contracts are under review.
Correct.
But
But
right
in your
now,
opinion, 2002 was the most egregious one. That's why this was the first.
Yeah, right now we have examined that and we found that it's really defective. So we have to take action.
I understand also that in their statement at least, pwede namang idaan sa negosasyon, sa usapan. Have there been such attempts?
In the previous administration, we have done that. In fact, there is a committee to negotiate with them. But it was already overtaken by events. Nagpalit-palit ng administration. And in this administration, we were instructed to evaluate these contracts.
Okay. Para naman maging fair tayo, no? I understand meron ding mga under investigation, mismong tao ng DENR who were involved maybe at one point in time or another in this.
Meron bang in cahoots
Oo, in cahoots,
inside?
kasi paano nila nakuha
O, parang
to, paano nila
oo.
nakuha to, di ba, pag di sila nakadeliver. So, meron na bang naparusahan?
Yes, previously, meron tayong a total of 8 DNR personnel na nakasuhan because of these transactions.
Specifically relating to?
Provincial Environment and Natural Resource Officer and investigators down our field
What
offices.
were the charges?
I think it was grave misconduct.
And when were
Grave
they dismissed,
misconduct,
ASEC?
I think that was, I still have to check the records. But
Pero medyo
there
a
there
while
were
back.
ombudsman decisions on the administrative liability of our own personnel.
Okay.
Well, ASEC, I also wanted, sorry, Mrs. I
Go
wanted to
ahead.
ask about the timeline also of this because the investigation started way back 2014 and the decision only came now. So you also have to wonder about the timeline. Why?
Ba't ngayon lang?
Opo,
Yeah,
basically.
I was explaining earlier that the complexities of the issues talagang kailangan mong upuan. And I
11
could
years,
understand the
ASEC?
secretary. I could understand the secretary, this present administration, that gusto lang nila na maayos yung evaluation. Kasi they understand also the situation of the Masungi.
Okay, just to make it clear, no, ang unang pakay ay magtayo ng bahay at hindi magkaroon ng park at hindi maging tigabantay ng
Kalikasan.
puno, ng kalikasan.
Yeah.
Tama ba? Because ngayon, yun ang sinasabi nilang unang mahalagang ginagawa nila eh. Tigabantay, pigil ng mga quarrying, pagputol, etc.
And pagdagdag ng mga
Because
puno.
this, yeah,
Yeah.
but housing pala, tama ba? So, and then follow up. Did they just create this park, or am I putting words in your mouth to make it appear like, like there's a showcase?
Yeah, the original plan was really for housing project. So that's the first one. Nakapasok sila dun sa area because of these contracts. Housing talaga. That's why yung kanilang company is Blue Star Construction and Development Corporation. Because yun talaga yung pakay nila eh. Kakontrata sila ng gobyerno.
Sino ba yung DNR secretary noong 1997?
Secretary Victor Ramos. Yeah.
Okay. And this was under the FVR admin, pero
Yes.
no relation to FVR, no?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And you're saying there were no bidding also in the 2014 contract naman?
To 2002.
2002. Nalito na nga ako.
But ASEC, you also have the foundation insisting that, based on the provisions of the law, there's no need for a bidding process to expand. Tama po ba sila doon?
Doon sa 202.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they have to check the procurement laws natin because it says there that kapag yung original contract mo is ganito kalaki, yung supplemental mo dapat hindi ganun kalaki. Ito kasi nangyari is 130 hectares original contract, pero yung supplemental niya is di hamak na mas malaki, 300 hectares. At walang bidding. And different areas. So yun yung very imminent dun sa ating nakita na may irregularity when it comes to our procurement process.
I'm just curious, no, since para naman di ma-feel ni Masungi na isinisingle out nyo sila. I know you're studying and reviewing their contracts, pero meron pa ba kayong maraming similar reviews ongoing about, other locations, other protected areas, other reserves?
Oh yes. Tuloy-tuloy po yung aming enforcement, especially yung mga violators ng ating mga teneural instruments. Yung ating mga instruments sa protected areas, yung ating special agreement on protected areas. Tinututukan namin yung compliance ng ating mga partners.
And dun sa allegation nila, no, this was middle of last year to about September, October. Ang sinasabi nila, gusto nyong ibawi yung kontrata that they can foresee that this is going to happen, anticipate it, because ibibigay nyo daw sa mga quarriers, ibibigay daw sa mga nagpapatayo ng mga windmills. How true
Wala
is
pong
that?
ganong pronouncement yung ating administration. And in fact, ang gusto lang talaga natin maayos itong mga contracts na execute natin. So,
ASEC, can they appeal? Can the foundation appeal this decision?
well, I cannot preempt them, but may proseso po tayo. That's why we're observing this process provided by law.
Okay, looks like this is only the beginning.
All right, yeah, this is going to be a saga, which I'm still trying to understand. Thank you so much, Asek
Thank you,
Norlito
thank
Eneran of DNR. Thank you for joining the big story. And we're also, we want to send a message to Blue Star, where the big story also
Our
wants
couch
to
is
hear
also
from you.
always
yeah,
open.
yeah. Our Kenneth Cobuntwe
Yeah,
couch.
so it's open for everyone.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but coming up next, House lawmakers uncover what they call are more fake personalities that received confidential funds from the Office of the Vice President. We have the details of that coming up next. Keep it here on One News.
You're watching The Big Story here on One News.
The designer and contractor of the Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge in Isabela has come forward to address the structure's partial collapse. Recall that President Bongbong Marcos blamed the bridge's, quote, poor design for the February 27 accident that injured several people. The chief executive particularly called out the non-use of steel cables and the bridge's load limit. But one of its designers, engineer Albert Cañete, insists there is nothing wrong with his concept for the structure.
Pero mahirap po siyang kontrahin, pero hindi siya bridge expert. Dapat to imbestigahan. Hindi dapat nagbibigay ng mga statement hanggat walang kompletong engineering, forensic engineering investigation.
Cañete says he designed the bridge to withstand the weight of 2 trucks passing through it at the same time.
Yan, 2 lanes. Dinisign ko yan ng 2 truck sabay. Kahit 2 truck na sabay, basta 27 tons lang, 54 tons, hindi niya kayang pabagsakin yung tulay.
For his part, the contractor says the bridge went through proper evaluation and was approved by the DPWH. Last night in our interview with DPWH Secretary Manny Bonoan, he said that no tests were done on the bridge.
Quality yun, quality. Meron mga testing yan. So, hindi ka makakalusyon na maglagay ka dyan. Wala, hindi dumaan siya.
Well, of course, we still have more questions for Engineer Albert Cañete, so let's bring him in. Magandang gabi po sa inyo, Engineer. Welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening, ladies. Very privileged to be here in your program.
Thank you. You are standing by your design. You're saying there's no flaw, correct, sir?
Yes, because we're following a bridge code. But let me just make a brief rundown of the construction history, design and construction history. This bridge was designed way back in 2012, 2013, when I was commissioned to do the initial design. And at that time, we were using the NSCP Volume 2 Bridges 1997 code. The initial design was for 12 60-meter arch spans with a total length of 720 meters. And the construction started 2014, and as reported, it was completed in February this year, 2025. Way back then, there's the initial 8 arch spans out of the 12 spans were constructed based on this old code, previous code, with the initial funding of about 400 plus million. The initial estimate for or budget for the 12 spans was 800 plus million at that time. However, in 2015, the new code came in, which was the DPWH DGCS Volume 5 bridges with higher vehicle loads and earthquake loads. And there was a department order that this will be implemented nationwide 2017 by everybody.
If I may interrupt, Engineer,
Yes.
this was the DPWH Secretary was Singson? No. Yes.
2012,
2012, yes.
Under President
Yeah.
Aquino.
Babe Singson, Secretary Babe
yes,
Singson.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Was there any, we'll let you continue your timeline, but was there supposed to be Japanese funding for the bridge, but a decision was made not to go with local designers instead and contractors?
I have to clarify that I'm connected with a private consulting firm. I'm outside of DPWH.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm not privy to all this
Okay.
information.
So
Alright.
kumbaga, engineer, you got wind of this project. Kumbaga, syempre dumating sa firm ninyo,
Oh.
di ba? Kaya 2012 na.
Yeah,
Kayo kinontrata.
I was hired by a consulting firm to do the design.
Okay.
And are there, again, before you continue your timeline, this consulting firm is part of a consortium of 3.
I believe so, maybe. Yeah, I believe so.
All right. Sige po.
So in 2017, this new code was implemented. DPWH commissioned another consulting firm, I think in 2018, to upgrade the design.
Bakit
So,
hindi kayo? Bakit hindi kayo?
Well,
If
I
you
guess
were-
it was another bidding or something. And then another consulting firm won that bidding.
Okay.
Because, yeah, it's another design project. And so I was no longer involved. But the task of the new designer is to upgrade my original design to the 2015 code. The bridge is more than 1 kilometer long, and the rest of the bridge was completed using conventional pre-stressed bridges. The remaining 4 arch spans and the pre-stressed spans were designed based on the new DPWH bridge code. The initial 8 arch spans that were already constructed by that time were redesigned and retrofitted. So there's always this thing coming out in the news. Why it's still new, pero bakit ni-retrofit? Inabutan siya ng bagong code na obsolete bigla yung design ko.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you still have more of the timeline, engineer, or does the timeline, at least with regard to your work, it ends there?
The last na is, as per DPWH statements by the secretary, the bridge project was not yet accepted.
Yes.
And so, as sabi niya, load testing works will still have to be done.
No
And
turnover
then,
yet.
therefore, only light vehicles are allowed at the bridge.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question about the design, Engineer Albert. No, I'm curious. This is a tied arch bridge. Am I right? First of all, because
Yes,
I'm not an engineer. Why did you choose to design it in that way? I mean, maraming types of bridges. Pag ginugal mo, types of bridges,
Correct.
di ba?
Correct.
Why did you choose this?
We have, actually, they were describing, the president was describing bakit walang cables. He was referring to a cable-stayed bridge. And although he was, again, mentioning that it was suspension bridge, which is another type of, but those are, I have, for example, suspension bridge is Magapit Bridge in Lalo, which is 250 meters. And then I have designed a cable-stayed bridge in Circulo Verde for Ortigas. That's 135 meters. This one are 60 meter spans, very short. So, perfect for this would be a tied arch. And the tied arch, the arches, I took advantage of the efficient arch form that reduces has a very strong capacity, and therefore it came out that my bridge design was much cheaper than conventional.
Engineer, I have to ask po, no, which part of the bridge collapsed? Was it your design or yung na-retrofit po?
Yung na-retrofit, but actually the trucks came from Kabagan side, so they started with span 12 and then up to span 4, no incident, but suddenly in span 3, going to Kabagan side, the span collapsed.
And
Something went wrong with span 3, but the other 9 spans were okay.
Okay,
Which
so
are
you're
your
talking about
designs?
the 3 stress spans, di ba? Yung 3 stress spans, yun yung part ng retrofitting which they did like in the latter part, no, during the Duterte administration, which is natamaan na nung bagong code, right?
No,
So,
the eight span,
The
the
eight
8 arch spans were retrofitted. So that's span 1 up to span 8.
Okay. And the collapse
then-
was in span
3,
Three.
span 3.
Okay.
But engineer, you have the president blaming not just the design plan, but also the budget cut. Ang original budget po para sa bridge was 1.8 billion pesos, but it was reduced to under a billion. Gaano kalaki po ba nung implication nun, engineer? I mean, with that reduced budget, were they setting themselves up for disaster? Dahil nga, engineer,
Sorry.
Sorry.
Apologies. I think we can hear that
there's
was
a
me, Gretchen.
convergence of audios.
You're hearing Rome. Pasensya na
Okay.
po,
Sorry.
engineer.
Carry on, engineer.
I'm very proud kasi of my expertise as a bridge designer. Now, I come up with very economic design. So it's very efficient. The arts is very efficient. So that's probably the reason why the cost really went down. Because arts bridges are 20 to 30% cheaper than conventional.
Okay. When because of the new code, you said there was a retrofit in 2018, tama po, no?
Thereabouts,
Oo.
2018,
Ano po
2019.
yung bagong load bearing? What load can that bridge bear? Or what did the new rules say? 'Di ba 42
Now,
po ang standard?
Yung based on this, yung 2016 na department order nagpalabas, the DPWH came out with a department order prescribing load limits for 6-wheeler, 10-wheeler, and 18-wheeler trucks.
Okay.
For 10-wheeler trucks, it's 27 tons, which is very similar to the truck that caused the collapse of the span 3.
Okay.
Now, I was pointing out in that video earlier na kahit doble mo yung 27 tons because it's a two-lane, maging 54 tons, okay
Oo.
pa siya.
Pero
But
yung-
what
Eksaherado
was reported
po.
by Region 2, 102 tons daw siya.
Okay. Eksaherado ba yun? Parang,
Parang,
we
kasi,
asked ChatGPT kasi po. I can't imagine kasi ang 100 tons. Blue Whale is one
comparison.
Yes.
comparison.
Yes.
Or 757 Boeing plane.
Yes.
So,
Precisely.
eksaherado ho ba yung figure na 100 na sinasabi sa publiko? Or
multiple trucks ito kasi yung pagkakaintindi rin
Hindi,
sa report, no?
no.
3 daw yung truck. 3 mabibigat na dump
With
truck.
rocks. Oh,
There
carrying
was a report in 2021 that's 4 years back na yung recorded sa weighing station ng were already 80-90 tons.
wow.
The new generations of trucks coming out are much powerful, much stronger, that the axle loads
So
and
the codes are
weights of the
outdated.
trucks they just keep on increasing.
Engineer,
Yes.
the codes are outdated, meaning
Yes,
our
yes,
bridges
yes,
will
I agree.
collapse.
That's
with
what
these-
that's
I
what
agree.
you were saying earlier at our sister program Story ko, no? Sinabi niyo nga na wag i-legislate itong mga codes kasi mahuhuli tayo dun sa advancement sa truck technology and weight bearing ng
Correct.
axle. So do you think this is a wake-up call, no, for all engineers,
Yes.
structural
Yes.
inspectors, and the government na parang we have to keep updating our code? And would you suggest by how often?
In buildings kasi we just follow what is recommended, whatever is the latest code. In the code, unfortunately, we are following the American codes, and implementation of vehicle weights and axle loads in the US is very strictly implemented. But in here, we're seeing these new trucks that are even more powerful. So the designer will have to take into consideration the overload. I actually published a book. My 4th book is about this design of bridge superstructures. In chapter 1 of that book, I devoted one section for that, for overloading. And the designer must be aware na of the degree of overloading in this country.
All right, but should then these trucks, should they be penalized? I mean, for obviously
Uh,
they know that
legal,
they're beyond
yeah.
what a bridge can bear.
Legally, yes, because the load limits are posted in the bridge. But actually, as time goes on, they become unrealistic, and the truckers will simply disregard the load limits. That's the problem because they know that their trucks are much more powerful and can carry. And I think what it's cost considerations for the truckers already.
Okay. So
I
in
mean,
short,
in one trip, they can transmit 80 tons of payload.
no, punot dulo nito, tama nga si Secretary Bonoan, it's really the overloading of these super
Yes,
trucks,
it's
new generation.
overloading. Super, yeah.
All right.
You cannot stop the progress of science.
We need to catch up. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Engineer
Yeah.
Albert Cañete. We do hope the designers and the engineers of the retrofitted design will also come forward the way you did. Thank you so much. One of the
Yeah.
designers of the Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge in Isabela of span. Anong span?
8/12 spans.
Okay, all right.
Spans, I designed the original 12 arch spans.
12 arch span. The original designer, I think that we should say. Thank you so much, engineer.
Thank you.
Okay, we're being told to wrap up. We have no more time, so we have to move on to this next story. Congressmen have uncovered more bizarre names signed as confidential fund beneficiaries of the Office of the Vice President, or OVP. And apparently, Mary Grace Piatos is with family, as there is also a Pia Piatos Lim and a Renan Piatos. Only single T's for those two among the OVP's acknowledgement receipts. Another signatory is named Xiaome Ocho. The Philippine Statistics Authority already checked these names, and so far, none of the personalities have birth, marriage, or death records. Before this, the lower chamber unearthed more than 1,300 recipients of OVP confidential funds. All these will be added to evidence in the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte.
Kita natin na talagang merong malawakang paglustay at maling paggamit ng pera, lalong-lalo na ng confidential fund ng Office of the Vice President. At habang tumatagal nga, nakakakita tayo ng mga pang-abuso, lalong-lalo na dito sa mga hindi mga kapanipaniwalang mga pangalan na nakalista roon.
Isa po siya sa pinakamalakas na mapepresenta, pero hindi muna ako siguro magde-dwell into specific since gagamitin nga po siya during the impeachment.
Is asserting the country's rights in the West Philippine Sea a key election issue for you? In a survey conducted by the social weather stations, 78% of Filipinos, or about 8 out of 10, said yes. Only 22% prefer a candidate who does not support this campaign. The survey was conducted between February 15 and 19 after the kickoff of the national campaign period. Support for candidates who believe in fighting for the Philippines' rights is highest in the National Capital Region at 87%. Respondents from Mindanao, the bailiwick of the Dutertes, gave the least support at 67%.
The survey also showed that in terms of age group, the West Philippine Sea is a key issue among those aged 55 years and above, at least for those aged 18 to 24. Meantime, another key election issue is corruption, as 7 out of 10 Filipinos would probably vote for a candidate vowing to fight it. The February survey was commissioned by the Strat-based group, and according to its president, Dindo Manhit, the 2025 elections are crucial to hold public officials accountable. In the 2024 Corruption Perceptions Index, the Philippines ranked 114th out of 180 countries with a score of 33, indicating a stronger perception of corruption than transparency.
We're going to pause for a really quick break, but right after that, it is the great revival of this famous cycling event. The Tour of Luzon is back after more than 20 years, and we tell you all about it when we return. Keep it here.
Mga kapatid, get ready to break away because the Tour of Luzon will have its great revival this April. Metro Pacific Tollways, Philippine Cycling Association, and the Philippine Sports Commission all gathered for the press conference of the Tour of Luzon 2025. This is an event where cyclists come together for a week-long ride all over Luzon.
This is momentous for many reasons. The Tour of Luzon was a legendary summer spectacle. Grand in vision, inspiring in ambition, and incomparable in scale.
The race is set to launch with a 170-kilometer out and back route via Pagudpod in Laoag City, Ilocos Norte on April 24. Its last stage will be the penultimate test among cyclists as they will battle on a 180-kilometer ride from Lingayen to Camp Janhay in Baguio City.
We're racing for 8 stages from Laoag to Vigan, and then Vigan to Agoo, Agoo to Clark. 2 days tayo sa Clark, and then we go to Lingayen, and then yung twin stage is a Baguio City stage from Lingayen to Camp Janhay through Cannon Road via Luwakan Road.
The program is also supported by DocWorld and the MVP Sports Foundation, in which DocWorld CEO Patrick Gregorio attributed the partnership to Manny V. Pangilinan's love for the sport.
Alam na yan po, noon pa yan, paulit-ulit si MVP and say, I want to see a Filipino rider in the Tour de France. Kaya when we proposed this project to MVP, he said yes right away.
The launch of a revamped Tour of Luzon was also dedicated to late Chairman Bert Lina.
Regalo na rin siguro natin to kay Chairman Bert Lina. No? Because isa rin siya sa talagang namuno nito for so long, and legacy niya na rin ito. And this is our gift to him.
Mobile journalist Amy Atienza, VR1 News.
Now in other news, we've got the latest on Pope Francis, and it's good news to the Catholic faithful. For the first time since his hospitalization, the pontiff's voice was heard at St. Peter's Square last night. Here's that audio recording.
Que Dios los bendiga y que la Virgen cuide. Gracias.
Now, though still weak, the Vatican said Pope Francis remains stable and he's responding to treatment. And to give us more updates on the Pope, Morning Matters host Gretchen Ho joins us live from St. Peter's Square in the Vatican. Hi, Gretchen. What can you tell us, and how did people respond upon hearing the voice of Pope Francis today?
Good evening and a good noon to you from the Vatican. I am actually here in front of St. Peter's Basilica yet again, a little bit closer to the church. And to my right, to this side, is the place, the square where they played the audio recording of the message of Pope Francis in front of the cardinals and the public who have been praying here every single night since the Pope got admitted to the Gemelli Hospital. Ang sabi nga niya dun sa message niya, no, thank you from the bottom of my heart for your prayers, for my health from the square. I accompany you from here. May God bless you and the Virgin protect you. Thank you. That message sent a lot of comfort and a lot of solace and a lot of assurance to the people here in Rome, because for 3 weeks now, there has been no sight and no sign of life from Pope Francis himself. We have been getting the news from Vatican officials, from press releases, from official updates, from the websites, but none from Pope Francis himself. That is the first time we actually heard his voice. And there was a lot of vulnerability there that he showed. Typical Pope Francis, he does not hide that side of him. He was weak and breathless in that message, but still, That message was greatly received by the public here, sending a lot of joy and a lot of comfort. Now, yesterday, Pauline, they were saying that they will not release any more medical bulletins today, but as of 8 a.m. this morning, they actually did. At ang nasabi dun sa Vatican News website, the Pope had a restful night, woke up shortly after 8, ibig sabihin mahaba yung tulog niya, and he continues his therapy, alternating the non-invasive mechanical ventilation, the high flow oxygen through a nasal cannula. So he still is stable. Mas marami ng detalye. Siguro kinulit siya ng mga journalist kung ano nga ba yung lagay kasi yun yung hindi nasama sa update kagabi kung patuloy siya doon sa kanyang ventilation at saka yung high flow oxygen. Pero sa ngayon, bukas daw yung official medical bulletin. Usually kasi binibigay yun sa gabi pero pinaagahan. Hindi tayo maasa para sa medical update mamayang 7 p.m. Pero it's good news, no? And people are flowing here still for the Jubilee weekend. The Jubilee for Volunteers will happen this Saturday and Sunday. And as you can see, ang dami ng mga upuan, naghahanda na sila para sa misa sa linggo.
Well, you're right, Gretch. It's certainly good news, after days and weeks of monitoring the Pope's condition, to finally hear his voice is definitely something good and a sign of hope for many Catholics. But does his prognosis still remain guarded, Gretch?
His prognosis does remain guarded. He's still in critical condition. Pero syempre, parang this is already a huge step, no? Yung kanyang pagsasalita. Hindi nila tinatanggal. Wala namang sinabi na they are putting it down a notch. But the signs here are pointing to a positive direction, Pauline, because yun nga, hindi na sila magpa-provide ng susunod na medical bulletin. And actually, another good sign that we saw is that the Pope continues to work from inside his papal apartment. Kahapon, meron tayong nabalitaan that the Pope will be donating 1 million euros to the Diocese of Rome for the homeless here around Vatican City State. And kung makikita mo, isa yun sa mga inaalagaan at programa ni Pope Francis talaga na bantayan, bigyan ng kalinga yung mga homeless na natutulog dito sa tabi-tabi. Ang gagawin nun, mag-renovate sila ng isang lumang building at doon nila pinatutuloy yung mga homeless for the day, and then they line up and then stay for the day, and then they leave the next morning. That's a special program that is close to his heart, and he continues to sign those documents, important documents. And yun nga, no, parang palaban itong si Pope Francis kasi siguro kasi yun, ang dami na rin kasi naghaka-hakang lumalabas dito sa tunay na kondisyon niya dahil hindi nga siya nagpapakita. Kasi dun sa Gemelli Hospital, usually yung mga Pope, dumudungaw sila sa bintana para magpakita, mag-hi sa mga tao. Pero si Pope Francis, hindi pa siya nakikita. But this audio recording with his all-familiar voice does really send a strong message. And it is what Pope Francis has been doing since day one, providing daily, twice-a-day updates so that people will not worry about his condition.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Gretch. And hopefully that's something we do see in the coming days, yung dumungaw ang Pope mula sa bintana dyan sa Gemelli Hospital. Yes, Gretch.
Meron pa ako dagdag kasi
Ako
nandito
yung
na
may
rin ako. So,
dagdag.
tutur ko kayo ng konti.
Maganda na yung outfit mo ngayon, ha? Hindi na ba malamig dyan?
Oo nga, parang
ito.
medyo uminit, Gretch.
Yung jacket ko. Hindi na, okay na. Medyo manageable na kasi pag umaga, mainit. Pag gabi, malamig talaga. Pero ito, yung trivia ko sa inyo, nakikita niyo yan, ito yung yung buong St. Peter's Basilica. To this side, there is a bell there that is sealed and closed.
Okay.
That bell is only opened and it's only rung 2 times, 2 instances. One is appointment of a new pope, and the second one is when a pope dies. So nakasil yan, hindi yan pwedeng magalaw. Doon sa kaliwa, yun ang ginagamit nila sa pang-everyday. Tapos dito rin, ayan, sa tabi nun, yung bubong, yung chimney, chimney tuloy, yung roof na nilalagyan ng chimney that emits the smoke for conclaves. Wala siya ngayon, ini-install siya pag may conclave. Tapos white yung usok kapag may napili na sila. So, yun lang yung konting trivia natin. Maybe seeing it up close and personal. It is kind of surreal here over at St. Peter's Square.
Gretch, mabilisan lang daw. Sino daw na ang nakontrata mo para tulungan ka sa pagka-camera mo dyan?
Ang galing ah!
Oo, napansin
tayo-
namin yun.
Tinutulungan tayo ng mga kaibigan nating kaparian na mula sa Pilipinas
Wow.
kasi ang dami-dami nila. So talagang sinasamahan nila ako dito because there are concerns over my safety.
Okay.
Because ang daming mga magnanakaw,
Yes.
snatcher
Oo,
dito.
correct.
Meron nga lumapit kahapon na dalawang babae sa akin sa likod na nasalag nila, hinarangan nila. Tapos mukhang tina-target yung bag ko. Kaya sinasamahan nila ako every day to be able to help me do my live stand-up first and also to make sure that hindi ako may nakawan dito. Kasi ang dami kong gamit
Yes.
na dala, may camera
Oo.
tayo at lahat-lahat.
Well, it's always nice for Filipinos to look after each other. But thank you very much for all your reports, your updates, and even trivias there from Rome and Italy. That was One News anchor Gretchen Ho reporting live from St. Peter's Square.
In other news, Smart Communications is advancing its AI transformation through a partnership with Amazon Web Services, or AWS. Chief Operating Officer Anastasio Boy Martires laid out the telco giant's plans at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, Spain. Martires said they have established a Center of Excellence for AI, which is now evolving into a center of acceleration. He noted that Smart's partnership with AWS is key to keeping this vision on track.
So Smart's vision is relentless innovation and AI transformation. So how does your partnership with AWS align with that?
Well, first of all, we established a Center of Excellence for AI, and I think the next best step is to accelerate it, and that's why our chairman coined Center of Acceleration.
Right. Yeah, great. So let's talk a little bit about this hyper-personalization concept and how AI can support that. What's the thinking there?
Well, there are three areas by which Gen AI will really be meaningful for us, and that's in our customer service, in our network, and our advertising and marketing. In all these three areas, we have already used cases. We've used our data lake. We've used the petabytes of data to give us learnings that could predict proper customer behavior and learn from it and be successful at it. And we're also very happy to say that we're very active in our network with driving AI there, embedding AI there.
So hyper-personalization, what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, it's about getting a hold of the petabytes of data, making sense out of it, making sure that you can use it to be able to predict proper customer behavior.
Okay, wala na tayong oras, pero two
God,
quick
it's
announcement. Yes. Unahan mo.
Nakaraos ako.
Naka 1 week si Seth.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Hindi lang yon. Bukas, March 8 is International Women's
Yes.
Day. Actually, buong March Women's Month. And possibly Fire Prevention Month, if I'm not mistaken. It is, di ba? So, marami tayong sineselebrate at dapat pag-ingatan. But unfortunately, gagalit na si Marie. Kumakaway na siya. That's it for the big story tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thank you for watching. Good night and have a good weekend.
Coming up next is Play-by-Play and Andre Felix. At Pao, pumunta ka na doon.
Mamaya. Pero okay lang. At tapusin niyo muna. It's okay.
Solo flight ka.
Tatawid si Pawi daw para tulungan siya.
Pero ako ni Pauline. I just want to add to what, Sean, I want to add to what you said. It's Women's Month, diba? It's also Fire Prevention Month. We had on Good Morning Kapatid, a vet. It's also Rabies Awareness
Yes,
Month.
it is.
Yes.
Kasi pag mainit, di ba, parang higher
March
yung
din.
incidence of rabies.
Correct. And I want to say, Madam Bosses, happy 1 week to you. It felt it was longer, but happy 1 week. Galing.
Thank you.
Ano, lonely mo, no? Wala siyang katulog. Sabi niya, hehe.
Actually,
Wala
nag-antay
akong
ko
katabi.
sabihin man libre. Na parang, sige, kasama.
May balak ako. Pag-usapan natin.
Okay, po.
Tama.
Happy weekend!
Ayun na.
But
Happy
thank you
week.
once
Sige
again.
na. Alis
Great
na kami.
show, great week for the ladies of The Big Story, and Pauline Versosa will be joining us in just a bit. Thank you to Cess, to Sean, and to Pauline. Well, on Play-by-Play, we've got scores from today's NBA games, plus updates from the semifinals of the PBA Commissioner's Cup, and we've got one strawweight champion, Joshua the Passion Pasio, live in the studio to talk about his title run and his plans moving